Hey everyone, I'm sorry this video is going up a few days later than I hoped it would, but this weekend I have been super tired and I am still super tired, so it was a little bit hard to motivate myself to actually want to film a video, but I'm gonna power through it because that's what I do. So welcome back to another multi-album review, and as you can tell from the title, these are the two albums that I'm going to be covering today. The new BTS album B and the new Megan Thee Stallion album Good News. I had always been planning to review the new Megan Thee Stallion album, but BTS's new album kind of snuck up on me. I didn't know it was going to be coming out as soon as it did, but I figured it'd be worth a review and worth a listen, so I decided to just add it on and review both these albums together. And honestly, I'm glad I did listen to both albums because we've got a really good week's worth of music to talk about here. Two albums that I very much enjoyed and that I'm excited to give my opinions on. So with that being said, now that I blabbered on enough and probably got a thumbnail with both albums on the screen, let's jump right in. First off, of course, let's talk about the new BTS album B. I don't need to introduce BTS at this point. They are almost unarguably the biggest K-pop group out there today, and they have had a busy yet massive 2020. Back in February, they released their 7th studio album, Map of the Soul 7, which I reviewed on here and very much enjoyed. You can check that video out at the link in the description. Many of you probably already have because that video has become one of my most viewed, and it did bring a lot of you to this channel, so thank you very much. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all the love that you've shown. And in July, they also released Map of the Soul 7, The Journey, their 8th studio album and their 4th Japanese language album. Now they're back with their 5th Korean language album, hot off of reaching a major milestone here in America, their first #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100 in Dynamite. The group previously had several top 10s with tracks like Fake Love, Boy With Love, and On, but now they finally have a #1. They became the first all-South Korean act to hit #1 on the Hot 100, and for that matter, it's the first K-pop song to actually reach #1 on the Hot 100. Hell, despite its impact, not even Gangnam Style was able to get there. BTS is clearly on fire, and they proved that by adding another #1 to their list by featuring on the remix of Savage Love by Josh 685 and Jason Derulo. And while I haven't been the most avid follower of the group, I did very much enjoy their last album, so I was interested to see what this one would look like, though I was very surprised when I saw that it was only 8 tracks and 28 minutes. Not that I had a problem with that, because with how many albums I still need to listen to before the end of the year, I can accept a short album, but it was mostly surprising because this project is being classified as a studio album. Even though it's roughly EP length, it's only 1 track and about 2.5 minutes longer than their 2019 Map of the Soul Persona EP. Hell, one of the tracks here is also a skit, so for as short as it is, that even inflates the album a bit. The skit, by the way, is very cute in that it sees the boys acknowledging a big meme in the fandom about them being Billboard #1 singers. But again, I'm not a skit person with most albums, and given that this is a 3-minute long skit, it just wasn't my thing. Otherwise, the music on this project is more great stuff from the boys of BTS. Life Goes On is the kind of track that seeks to provide comfort despite the shit the world is going through right now. I do like how it kind of blends an alternative hip-hop sound with acoustic instrumentals, and naturally, the charisma and personality of the boys is on full display. A number of the other tracks on here take on that same relaxed vibe of the introduction. Fly to My Room has a light, smooth vibe and a very minimal, relaxing instrumental. It's a song about the frustrations of stay-at-home orders that stop the group from going on their Map of the Soul tour and meeting with their army, and it's a perfectly mellow song that's good, easy listening. Blue and Gray is a guitar ballad about artist burnout, and it's a lovely track that features a great mix of beautiful vocals and slick rap flows from the boys. BTS doesn't completely abandon the bouncy feel of some of their popular hits though, as tracks like Telepathy and Dis-Ease bring back that more danceable vibe that the group is known for. In the case of Telepathy, what we have is a very sweet love song that works well in just how carefree it is. It's not concerned with anything other than having a good time with itself, and I can get behind that. The vocal charisma shines through all throughout the song, and even if the production is rather simple, it's just easy to want to dance to. Dis-Ease, on the other hand, is a track about feeling sick and uneasy, but set more to the tune of a bright, sunny instrumental. It's more rap heavy than a few of the other tracks here, but it's another song that works so well to me because I think the boys just sound great. Even despite dealing with themes of uneasiness, I once again just love how laid back and snappy it is, and it's yet another track that's very enjoyable. And Stay is another BTS tribute to their loyal army, one that plays like a more emotional and somewhat mellow but EDM influenced banger that even has a tasteful beat drop thrown in. Beyond my love of the vocals per usual, I also love how ethereal the song is, and how despite being a somewhat throbbing track that you can jump up and down and dance to, it still evokes an emotional vibe that's very pleasant. The album closes out with that huge hit single I mentioned earlier, Dynamite, which is actually the group's first fully English song. It's a fun tune that feels like a sweet throwback, and it's just such a joyful song I can't help but smile and nod along to. The chorus is absolute gold on here. It's way too catchy and the boys sell it pretty well. Just as I did when I first heard it, I still think the auto-tune can be a bit much, and I don't think the boys really needed it, but the song is still too much fun, and I'm glad they chose to end the album off with it. Overall, I know I tend to like some of BTS's records more than most critics around here, but trust me when I say that if I could find something to complain about, I would. Seriously, I actually really like what these guys put out, and this project was more very nice stuff. I said this back when I reviewed Map of the Soul 7, but I think what's helped me to enjoy a lot of BTS's music, again, maybe more than some others, is that it's just feel-good fun. Sometimes when you're making an album, you don't really have to go overboard and try hard to make some crazy, wild concept. Just have some fun with it, and that fun will shine through in the music. And I think BTS understands that, because this is the kind of album where you can feel the fun that went into the music. And it's just a very enjoyable album. Yes, it does go down a few more emotional routes, but that's a good thing, because I think the boys are perfectly built to handle songs that carry more emotional styles. And the production they're given throughout this album still sounds great. The group remains as versatile as ever, the lyrics are still pretty sweet, inspirational stuff, and as I mentioned, that feel-good BTS charm is definitely on display here. And as short as it was, I think it was pretty fulfilling, and I'm actually happy the group didn't completely overload the album with unnecessary tracks. It made the project feel very concise and allowed it to get straight to the point without wasting any time. As I said about Map of the Soul 7, my opinion may end up looking unpopular compared to some other critics on here, but at the end of the day, I had a great time with this album. I'm sure the fans are absolutely going to love this thing, and even if you're not all that into BTS, I still recommend you give it a look. Overall, on my rating scale, I'm definitely going to say that BTS's B is going to get an excellent rating from me. As I said, very much enjoyed this album. The BTS boys did an excellent job with it, and for as short as it is, it was definitely very fulfilling. Give it a look if you haven't already. And of course, to finish the video out, I'm going to be talking about the new Megan Thee Stallion album, Good News. Megan Thee Stallion is a Texas-based rapper who's been blowing up over the last year or so with a variety of extremely viral singles like Cash Shit and Hot Girl Summer. And in 2019, her first mixtape, Fever, received a good amount of critical acclaim, and she's continued to rack up huge hits since, reaching #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with tracks like her Savage remix with Beyonce and of course WAP with Cardi B. Now she's finally here with her debut studio album, and it's come in the midst of a tumultuous year for Megan. While she has had those big singles, she's also had to deal with drama from her label 1501 Entertainment, owned by former Major League Baseball All-Star Carl Crawford. I'd never known that. Over the contract she signed with him, and this drama stopped her from initially releasing her EP Sugar, which was initially supposed to be the title of this album. Later in the year, she also suffered from gunshot wounds while in a car with Tory Lanez, and later revealed that it was Tory who shot at her. Tory himself didn't initially respond until it was time for him to be scummy and release a 17-track album called Daystar, where he supposedly was telling his side of the story, and I didn't review the project because, yeah, I totally want to listen to a Chris Brown and Drake knockoff gaslight me for 66 minutes. It's been a big, ugly mess for Megan, but fortunately, she's come out on the other side with her own album, something she's been working on for a while now. It's good to see it's finally out, and in terms of length, it's 17 tracks and 49 minutes, which isn't all that bad, and boy does Megan know how to make an entrance. The opening track, Shots Fired, is her own full-length response to Tory and all the drama from that situation, and woo, this is some fire. First off, Megan herself just sounds extremely confident, and her sampling of Who Shot You by Biggie is just awesome. And the way she goes off on Tory, man, I was waiting for this. What a way to kick off the album, both as a response to Tory and as a confident grand track on its own. After that, the rest of the album launches into a sex-filled odyssey of tracks, but one that is filled with hits on hits on hits, as there's a seemingly endless library of highlights on the album. There's the super bouncy Jasmine Sullivan sampling Circles, the spendy but clever Sugar Baby, which has one of my favorite lyrics ever, invest in this pussy boy, support black business, the breezy middle finger to the haters banger that is What's New, the juvenile sampling Work That mixes R&B vibes with trap sounds as solidly as many of the other great tracks here, the more hazy ethereal but still confident Outside, and the Eazy-E sampling Girls in the Hood that goes off thanks to Megan's confidence in the almost rock vibes of the heavy beat and electric guitars. Not every song on here totally bangs. I will agree that the hook on Body ruins the fun charm of Megan's performance and the moaning instrumental, and while Don't Rock Me to Sleep is an interesting experiment in synth pop for Megan, I don't think her singing was quite as strong on this track. Fortunately, those are just mere blips on the radar of hits all throughout the album, as Megan crafts a record that's that's great on a very consistent basis. There's also a pretty star-studded list of features here, many of whom also lift off on the album. DaBaby jumps on the track Cry Baby, which does sound a bit too much like a lot of DaBaby's other tracks. It's not bad, but Megan really lifts the song, and DaBaby is not nearly as impressive. Do It on the Tip, great title might I add, features City Girls, as well as one of Megan's alter egos, Hot Girl Meg, and it works in how energetic and carefree it is. The beat is a little more sparse, but nevertheless pounding, almost like a mini twerk anthem, and all of the girls sound amazing over it, making for a potent collaboration. Movie also has Lil Durk on it with a performance that honestly doesn't sound like something he typically does, but he and Megan both have an excellent presence over Take Heath's much more cutthroat beat. SZA makes an appearance on Freaky Girls, a Juicy J produced R&B and trap banger that's far and away a high on the album, with excellent bouncy production that samples Adina Howard's Freak Like Me, a beautifully sung hook from SZA, and of course more hilarious punchlines and slick flows from Megan. Popcorn shows up on the Mustard produced track Intercourse, a surprising dancehall turn on the album that works on the strength of Mustard's wavy instrumental, Megan's more understated but still clever cadences on her verse, and the smooth singing of Popcorn. There's also the star-studded Go Crazy with Big Sean and 2 Chainz, another banger that sees all 3 performers bodying the beat. Megan of course is a stellar presence on her own, Big Sean's guest verse has some decent faster flows, and the way 2 Chainz rides the beat rounds things out fantastically. Of course the Savage remix has Beyonce on it, and this is a track I really love too. It's dark but so immediate and catchy, with what I think might be one of this year's best hooks on a hip-hop track, and a typically stellar guest verse from Beyonce. I'm glad this song became the hit that it did because it's excellent. The finisher to the album, Don't Stop, also has Young Thug, and he and Megan go appropriately hard over the more bass-boosted electronic trap beat. It's another braggadocious banger and a very strong ending to the album. Overall, Megan Thee Stallion's long-awaited debut album is a win in my book. Megan herself sells a lot of these songs with her confident presence and excellent flows, but even beyond her own dynamic performances, the record around her is wonderful. I think Megan's production choices are consistently strong, and I was also very impressed by a lot of the sampling work on the album. Many of the tracks here are built on samples, but they're crafted so well that it makes them even better listens. And once again, it helps that these tracks are supported by such a strong artist in Megan. Her performances are consistently cutthroat, and her flows always fit the tracks perfectly, and I think her bars are very clever as well. Yes, a lot of the album does revolve around sex, which I know might be tiring to some people, but I'm okay with an artist focusing on similar lyrical concepts if they can bring something unique to them. And fortunately, Megan does that not only with such humorous lines, but also just with her excellent performances and flair. She can pretty much body any beat she jumps on, and she has way too much fun on the album. Top it off with a nice assortment of features, and you've got a strong first record. I've been waiting for Megan to release her debut album for a while now, and I'm happy to say this didn't disappoint. I had a great time with it, and I'm sure you will too. Overall, on my rating scale, Megan Thee Stallion's Good News is also going to get an excellent rating from me. As I said, I just had a really fun time with it, and while it may not be for everyone, I still think it's worth checking out. So that's it for this week's music. Both albums that I listened to were very good. I enjoyed them a lot, and honestly, it's always refreshing to me when multiple albums come out in a week and they're very good. Feels nice to be able to say that as we start rounding out the year. Of course, though, these are just my opinions on these albums. What did you guys think about them? Did you love them, hate them, were you indifferent towards them? Whatever your thoughts are, leave them down in the comments section. Let's keep this civil and have some fun as we like to do. If you guys want to hit like and subscribe, thank you. If not, it's no big deal. I totally understand. If you guys want to subscribe to my OnlyFans where I create exclusive music review and poetry content for $4.99 a month, the link to that is in the description. Once again, I understand if you can't or don't want to, but I appreciate anyone who does. And in terms of what's next later this week, since it is coming out, I will be doing a review of the new Miley Cyrus album, Plastic Hearts. Don't really know what to expect out of it at the moment, but I will be doing a review of it, so stay tuned for that. But until next time, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.